Good morning. Hope the screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Fine. So we were discussing about mission independent macro processor features, which have 4 in number: concatenation of macro parameters, which precisely will let us know or let us facilitate to provide customized macro names whenever a series of macro variables are expanded. We have seen in the previous class, which is done through ampersand and arrow mark concept. Next, we have a generation of unique labels, which is very important because whenever a macro contains a label and that macro is called more than once, obviously there will be ambiguity after the expansion such that which call to consider whenever there is a jump to a particular label, because all labels will have a same name. To avoid that confusion or to resolve that ambiguity, labels of macro will be given a unique label whenever they get expanded by prefixing a dollar symbol at the time of a definition. So if you prefix a dollar for a label during the definition of a macro, so whenever there is an expansion of that particular macro more than once, then we will be having a $AA, $AB, $AC being prefixed, so that up to 1296 times we can call a macro, which is very, very rare case. So thereby we have provided a facility to have labels in the macro, at the same time to call the same macro more than once. Even in that case, we will not have any problem with the label names, because each label of the macro definition will get expanded with a unique name at the time of expansion. So that is the concept of a generation of unique labels. Next, 2 more let us discuss today. That is a conditional macro expansion and keyword macro parameters. So first let us look at the keyword macro parameters. So keyword macro parameters, as name says, you can relate them into default arguments when you talk about your high level language. So you might have seen the default arguments. Can anybody help me with the default arguments concept? What you see in high level language? Default arguments. What do you mean by default arguments?
Like we are initializing a value for the parameters.
At the time of?
Call.
At the time of?
Call.
Call.
Yes.
Call or definition?
Sorry, definitions.
Okay. What happens later?
Even if we pass any arguments while call, it will assign the values that we have defined in the definition.
Okay, that is one. Second, you may avoid those variables being passed with the values, isn't it?
Yes.
Because consider there are 3 parameters for a call and all 3 are declared as a default parameters. So you can choose out of these 3, one is a default, 2 is a default, you have a choice. So let us assume all 3 are default arguments. So when I call, I have a variety of calls for this. I can call a function without any parameter. Is that valid? So declared,
yes,
I have declared a function with 3 default arguments. But normally when you declare a function with arguments, we have to pass the arguments. Without them, the function becomes an invalid call. But in the case of default arguments, if I have 3 default arguments for a function and I call that function without any arguments, still it is valid, because in the absence of actual arguments, the formal parameters that we have used as a default parameters will be considered. So like that, whenever you want certain time a requirement that every time you are not going to pass different parameters or different values for arguments, then probably you can fix certain data as a default argument. Only the remaining can be changed. And second advantage of default arguments is, when you, in the absence of default arguments, what happens? Let us see. let us consider I have a function with 8 parameters. I have a function with 8 parameters. Each parameter is different. So when I call a function, what I have to do, I should remember what is the first parameter, whether it is integer or a character, what is the second parameter, is it a string or a pointer, what is the third, like that I should remember each one properly. And while calling a function, I should write those one-to-one values. For example, if I have a int, char, double, float. So when that is the case, it is easy for me to write 2 ints, 2 doubles, 2 characters, 2 floats. If I have a mixture of this, one pointer, one array, one integer, one float, like that, then it will be confusing for us to remember. But if you do not pass proper values, for an integer, we should pass an integer. For a character, we should pass a character. If you do not do, what will happen? Either the values will not be considered, your call will become an invalid call, or values will be implicitly converted. So both are not good for us. If that is the case, we have a pain point while calling that function. If it is only 2 or 3 or 4, we remember we can add those parameters. But if your function is having more than 4, 5, 6, it is very difficult for us to remember what is the first parameter type, what is the second parameter type, what is the third, fourth, fifth, because unless we remember them, we may be able to pass the correct type of value. If you do not pass the correct type of value, what might happen? Either those values might be taken in erroneously through implicit conversion, or conversion wherever it is not possible, you may get a invalid function call. So in either case, it is not a good programming practice. So what to do now? So to facilitate the programmer or the user with the proper parameters, it is advised to go for a default parameters, meaning that default parameters will help us in 2 ways. One, the parameters which are not changed frequently for every call, probably we can put them as the default parameters. So it reduces the time and burden for the user while making a call. Second, importantly, when you have more than 3 or 4 parameters, it is better to have a default parameters, because default parameters will facilitate you to call them in any order, because order can be of your choice. If there is no default parameters, then you have to give in the same order, and you may be doing some mistakes while calling that. So these are the 2 advantages what we have with respect to the keyword macro parameters or a default parameter. So same concept we are going to consider here as well from the macro processor perspective. Let us see how it is being done. So this is what I was talking about. If you take a function by name sum, and if you are going to create it as a default arguments, you should remember, see, if you look at this, it is having around 10 parameters, and I am not going to pass all the parameters. I'll be passing only some parameters in between. If that is the case, other parameters I have to skip. I should be very careful, comma. If I miss one comma, instead of going to the third parameter, the value will go and sit in the fourth parameter. Again, it is a confusing. So either having more parameters with the separate values or default values, both are going to be confusing for us. To avoid that, better to go for a default arguments. How do we do that now? So default arguments are like this. So this is how the keyword macro parameters in line with the default arguments are provided in the macro processor as well. So we have declared in high level languages with the function name followed by the parameters. A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20, C is equal to 30, like that. And as I said, there is no need that all parameters should become default. Some of them might be default, some need not be. Here, if you look at A is a default, C is a default, D is a default. So B is not a default. It is just any value it can take. So like that is the case, A, B, C, D are the 4 parameters we have declared here. So I can call this particular macro in different forms. What are they? So these are the various calls I can have for this. So sum, A is equal to 20, B is equal to 30. So what happened to C and D? C and D is already there. C is equal to 20, D is equal to 15. In the absence of you mentioning them, by default, those 2 values will be considered. Next, I'm giving, look at the second one, very interesting. It is not in the same order. A, B, C, D was the actual order, but look, I have started with D, then I went A, then I gave C, I gave B. So this is what I said. You need not remember the order, simply use the name of the parameter and start applying them. This will help us, because when more parameters are there, this is going to be more advantageous. You need not be writing in the same order. And the third call, As we know, out of these four, A, C, D are default. B is not a default because value is not given. So every time B value should be given for us. So if that is otherwise, your program will be not be, I mean your function may not be called or your macro may not be proper. So if that is the case, all these three are valid calls for a macro in the presence of default arguments or a keyword parameter. So keyword parameters are simply in line with the default arguments what we have in high level languages, but it comes with a two advantages. One, it is easy to use the macro definition whenever certain data is a fixed data or when data is not going to change for a good number of calls. So if that is the case, better to go for a keyword parameters. Second, when you have more parameters and giving them in the same order becomes a Herculean task or maybe a tedious process for the user or programmer. So by making them as a keyword parameters or by making them as a default arguments, it is advantageous for the user or programmer that they can place them in any order. Order doesn't matter here because order is not going to be important category, but values are going to make some change. So this is how the two advantages we can get from the keyword parameters or default arguments. So both are one and the same. So they are going to help us at the time of a invocation of a particular macro. So that is about the keyword macro parameters, which is again a value of a mission independent nature. And the last part of this mission independence is a conditional macro expansion. So as the name says, conditional, you get into high level language, if, else and stuff like that, which are going to be of a conditional nature. So if something is true, perform, else something else. So like that, based on the condition, can we have an expansion? So far what we have seen expansion is whenever there is a macro call, completely the body of the macro will come and sit, whether you like it or not. But now we are at the concept now, can we conditionally expand? Meaning that I am having a function, let us say macro, I have to send 4 parameters. Instead of 4 parameters, by mistake, I have sent 3 parameters. So my function or my macro should not get expanded because I should always send 4 parameters. So if my number of parameters sent in the macro call are 3 or 2 or 1, or in other words, if it is not equal to 4, I should not go for expansion. I should give an error. So that is always a good idea. If that is the case, probably we call such things as a conditional macro expansion. So I'm just giving an example. So it may be any condition depending upon our requirement. But to understand the concept, what I am telling is out of the 4 macro parameters that we have to pass at the time of a function call or a macro call, you are passing less than 4, let us say. You have to pass all 4, but you are passing either 1 or 2 or 3, which is not correct. So if that is the case, probably we should not expand the macro at all because it is anyhow, it is of no use for the program or program cannot be executed. So if that is the case, can you inform the system that, look, when my number of parameters passed during the macro call are less than 4 or less than 3 or whatever the requirement for me, then you should not expand. Else you should give a error message or you should do something else. If that is the case, which is going to be a good programming practice, probably we can call that as a conditional macro expansion. So conditional macro expansion will be based on certain conditions, or you are having a string 1 to string 2 comparison, let us say. When string 1 is empty, what type of comparison we are going to do? If string 1 is empty, don't call the comparison macro at all. If string 1 is full or string 1 is having some data, then only call for a comparison like that. So you check for a condition, then based on that condition, probably you will try to explore or expand the given macro whenever there is a macro call. So that is what the concept behind the conditional macro expansion. So what you have seen, first one is a concatenation of macro parameters, because you should not get confusion with the words. Concatenation of macro parameters. So parameter means how to concatenate the macro parameters for every customized call. Second one, generation of unique labels. So it is pertaining to the labels. Third one is keyword macro parameters. That means for parameters, how to assign a keywords, meaning that default kind of setup. The last one is a conditional macro expansion. The name says conditional expansion of a macro, which is based on a particular condition. So that is the idea behind the conditional macro expansion. So some of the macros that we will be using for this conditional functionality is if and if. So if some condition is true, do this. How to close this? End if, because we don't have braces, no? We are using this now. Next, if, else, and if. So you want to do this, if it is true, you want to do something else. If it is not true, then we can go for a if, else, and if. Then we have a while and W. So while it is true, perform this until I reach the NW. This is just a conditional macros that we can use at the time of a expansion. So that based on this, we can figure out whether your macro need to be expanded or not. Let us take a very simple example. Even though there is a very complicated example in the book that I will give you as a probably as a homework, but right now let us understand how this is being done with the simple if and if concepts. So let us consider this now to understand how conditional macro expansion is done. This is a simple macro definition. So what is extra here? Some is already there, macro name is there, all these three are there. So that means whatever is required for a macro definition prototype, we have name of the macro keyword, amend keyword, and 4 macro formal parameters which are prefixed with the ampersand. So all these days we used to directly go to like this LDA, ADD, ADD, but now we have got these 3 things extra. What are they? If condition has come. So if condition correspond to that, how to close? End if. That's what we have seen in the previous one. So if we'll have a end if as a closer point, like that we have a if, end if. So if and end if are again conditional. They are not a assembler directives. Please remember, they are only a additional or maybe a facilitators inside the macro definition. So don't take them as a assembler directives. They are not assembler directives. If ampersand D is not equal to 3. For example, A, B, C are the values and last D is nothing but the count, like argc. In our main function, D is going to be some number. What is that number? That number is nothing but how many parameters we are going to pass. How many parameters we are passing here? A, B, C. So for example, I will pass 3 as the parameter as a last one. If it is not 3, then I should not do something. Or if it is 3, I should do something. If that is the case, probably I can put this. So if it is not 3, then I should not be doing anything else. If it is equal to 3, what is the meaning now? I have correctly given all the parameters, then I can process with LDA, ADD, ADD. If it is not equal to 3, then I should not do this. So if that is the case, I am checking condition. If ampersand D not equal to 3, if it is not equal to 3, then I should go to amend. Amend means macro definition is over. Else meaning that the value of D is equal to 3, then I should process. Then I will come here. So I will process this. So this is the way how we all go. We have to use the macro conditionals. So here, if you look at the example now, sum, and this is a macro call. Sum 10, 20, 30, and 3. So this is D. Is D is equal to 3? Yes. If it is true, then I will go to LDA, ADD, ADD. So these 3 have been used as a macro definition. Suppose another call. I have given this 10, 20, 30, but last value is 4. And last value is 4. It fails here. If condition fails, then there is no question of expanding here. Directly I will jump to amend. When I jump to amend, there is no expansion for the macro call. So this is how the conditional. So based on the condition, we decide whether the given macro call need to be expanded or not, which is again a very good way of writing a program. So this is the concept of a macro definition. So I have a program like this. I will give maybe in 2 minutes from now. So before that, let us understand what all we have used. This is what asked once in examination. They have given this entire program, asked us some 2 calls, and you can see the call here. What is the call here? Macro RDBUFF. Somewhere they have used, yeah, RDBUFF. This is a call they have given. So what happens when this is called? What happens when something else called? So they give this, they will ask us to write this. So if that is the case, probably you should understand how it is being done. So for this particular call, how I am getting this expansion based on this particular data. So you have to understand that. Before that, let us see what is being used. So we have used if and if. We know what is if and if, which evaluates your whether the condition is true or not. And we know NE means not equal, EQ means equal, which you know. Then set is a new thing which you have used there. Set as a label is going to assign a value. It is like a set in Unix. The set we have used in command in Unix, which is used to set the value of your umask or maybe your file permissions and stuff like that. So set will give you the value being assigned. So these labels are associated with the text, are prefixed with the ampersand, and are called as a macro time variables or a set symbols. When you go through that, you will understand, but don't be surprised. This is the new thing what we have used in the program for you to understand. Next, any symbol that begins with ampersand, and if it is not a macro parameter, then it is assumed to be a macro time variable. Normally, ampersand is provided to the macro parameters, but if you see some variables which are having ampersand, but they are not macro parameters, then you should consider them as a SCT type of variables or macro time variables. That's what we mean to say. Then another word what we have in this program is percentage n items, which is a function that returns the number of values in the associated argument. The number of values in the associated argument. For example, like argc, you pass 10 arguments, it will hold 10 as the number. So that's what it is. So just keep in mind. But now the question is, you have to go through this part A, understand how the macro definition is given. Later, for the call RDBUFF F3 buff RECL4 2048, if I pass these values to this, how this expansion is going to take place based on the conditional. It was asked once in examination. They have given this, they have given this. They have asked us to write this particular program. So what we have to do is take these values now, RDBUFF F3 buff RECL4 204. There are 5 parameters. There are how many definition parameters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 to 1. Now condition, if ampersand EOR not equal to null. What is ampersand EOR? That is the fourth argument. What is the fourth argument? Fourth argument is 4 here. If it is not equal to null, is it equal to null? No. If it is not equal to null, what to do now? Set 1. So what to set now? This variable ampersand EORCK is set to 1. Where it is now? It is a label. This value is set to 1. Next, clear X. If is over now. If is true, and we have set it to 1 now. Now clear X, clear A, they come as it is. So clear A, clear X, they come as it is. Now if ampersand EORCK is equal to 1, we have just now set EORCK to 1. Is it equal to 1? Yes. If it is equal to 1, then we have to do this. LDCH RMO. Now LDCH RMO we have done. Next, and if. So if is over. Next, if ampersand max LTH equal to null. Where is the max LTH? Max LTH is the fifth argument. What is the fifth argument? 2048. 2048 is equal to null? No. If it is not equal to null, then we have to do. If it is equal to null, we have to do this. So else part. Else part is LDT max length. So LDT max length. What is the max length value? 2048. So here we are not going to do this now because if is fail. So else part is that this is what we have done. So this condition is over. Now we are in the loop. So TD is equal to X, JEQ, all these things will be same because there is no condition at all. RD, again there is a condition here. If EORCK is equal to 1. Is EORCK is equal to 1? Yes, we have set it here. We have not changed it anywhere. It is still 1. If it is equal to 1, then these two will take place. What are they? Comparative A, S, JEQ, exit. Next, and if is over. Next, STCH, TIXR, JLT, STX will follow as it is because there is no condition at all. So this is how the understanding of program, your macro expansion. So we have a big macro definition, but based on the value, based on the condition, expansion takes place. So in the examination, they will give this, they will give the call, they might ask you to provide the macro expansion like this. So this is about the conditional macro expansion. What you have to remember here is, similar to our high level languages, conditions are kept. If conditions are true, the expansion will take place based on that. If condition is not true, that expansion will not be taken, will go to the next subsequent program, maybe instruction in the program. That's what we have to understand. So this is another one. If you take this call, RDBUFF, this is the call and this is the call. Just go through this, how do you understand, let us see. So this is the call what we have. This is the first call we have taken. That is 5 parameters. Now we are using only 4 parameters. The fourth one is empty. If you look at here, the fourth one is empty here. If you look at here, the fifth one is empty here. So based on this, how expansion takes place. So like that. Okay. And this is another call. So like this, depending upon, I will share this with you anyhow. We can go through that. But depending upon what value we have for the condition, accordingly, the value will be taking place or the expansion takes place. This is another example. Here, if you observe, this particular example is having a AA loop. Why is this AA loop? Because macro definition here has a loop variable. So whenever I call this becomes a $AA, $AB, $A3 like that. So that is the concept here. Okay. So this is about the various macro processor mission independent instructions. So I will stop it here now. So probably any questions for the test regarding IA we'll discuss. Any doubts in this regarding these 2 parameters what we discussed today? Keyword parameters and what else?